Welcome to part 7 of this series where I talk about one family line of mine and show you what I know about them, what I don't know about them, and how I got to the conclusions that I did. The reason that I'm doing this series is because I think it's really important to stress to you folks how each specific family line requires different tactics and strategies in order to unlock. On the last one of these, I talked about my Sirocco or Sorokin family from Svencionis, Lithuania, and on this one, I'll be talking about the family of my great-grandmother, Sadie Lifshin. I'm Yona Paley, and I believe genealogy is fun. On this episode, we're going to be talking about my Lifshin, aka Lifschitz, family from who knows where in Ukraine. Now, Sadie was born in 1908 in Newark, New Jersey, to immigrants from the Russian Empire. Like her husband Max Kushner, who I talked about a few episodes ago, I met Sadie when I was really young, as she lived to the age of 90. Now, thankfully, it was already common knowledge in my family that Sadie's father was Mayor Lifshin and her mother was Yetta Sachs. And I actually have a photo of Mayor and Yetta's 50th wedding anniversary. You can see it here, the two of them, along with a really large family. Sadie actually had 3 brothers, 2 of whom were born in Europe, and she actually narrowly avoided being born in Europe as her mother and uncle and 2 brothers came to the United States in 1907, 1 year before she was born. The father, Mayor, had come 1 year earlier in 1906. The town that they sailed from was called Krolevets, and it's located in the Chernihiv region of Ukraine. Now, there have been a number of conflicting sources as to where the Lifschitz family came from. It's a very common surname, which often makes it really difficult to trace, and some of the records say that the family came from Kursk, Russia. Some others said Artemivsk or Bakhmut, which is the same city but in some region of Ukraine, and yet there was also some more evidence that maybe they came from Krolevets. But it wasn't until I did some deep digging into Mayor's younger brother, Hatzkel Lifschitz, where I think I figured out where the family came from. His documents seem to indicate that he came from a place called Novhorod-Sivers'kyi, which is a city in Ukraine. And this makes sense to me because there are some records on JewishGen which show a Lifschitz family living in Krolevets who formerly came from Novhorod-Sivers'kyi. And as a matter of fact, the father listed on this record, so the one person who got married, this one Lifschitz, his father was named Shlomo Lifschitz from Novhorod-Sivers'kyi, and I happen to know that Mayor's father was Shlomo Anshel Lifschitz. Whether or not it's the same exact person, I don't know, but this is an example where I found these 2 cities side by side on one record, and that's the only instance I've ever seen of this. So I don't have any direct proof that the family came from Novhorod-Sivers'kyi and that they later moved to Krolevets, but that seems to be the most plausible solution. And unfortunately, there aren't any other records available online, at least translated, for any of these cities. So it's a little bit of a problem because even the few that are available for that region of Ukraine, they're in Ukrainian or Russian, and I've even had somebody translate some, like I paid a researcher to go through a few of the records online, see if there was anything about my family, and there wasn't. But I am confident that at some point in the future there's probably some records lying around in an archive somewhere, or maybe even on the internet, relating to my family. But in this instance, it really is another one of those waiting games where I don't really know anything past Shlomo Anshel, my third great grandfather. I don't even know if he ever came to the United States. I don't really know what happened to him. He doesn't seem to have had anyone named after him, at least that I can figure out. So it is a little bit weird, but that is the name listed on all of his children's gravestones. Now, you never know in instances like this. In fact, the ship manifest of one of Shlomo's children seems to indicate that he may have been living in the US, but nobody that I interviewed in my family had any knowledge of him having come there. And this has a lot of parallels actually with my Sirocco family, who I talked about on the last one of these, because with my third great grandfather Baruch Leib Sorokin, I also had no idea whether he had come to America, and then suddenly out of the blue somebody revealed to me that he did, gave me a piece of information. I was able to track him down. So I'm kind of hoping to keep reaching out to distant Lifschitz, or they all changed their last name to Lifshin, relatives, and see if maybe somebody has some knowledge of this great-great-great-grandfather of mine. That's one of the things with genealogy. With almost all of my lines, I am pretty confident as to where my family came from, even if I can't find any records for them. But in this instance, there's still so much that I don't know about my Lifschitz family that I would consider them actually to be one of my least researched lines, but that I at least have several generations back on. And that wraps up this episode. If you liked it, please be sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. As always, I'm looking forward to bringing you more videos about famous Jews, as well as tips and tricks that you can use in your own genealogy research. So thank you so much for watching, and we'll get you next time.